if you've had a guy say, "Oh, my ex is crazy," do you look at that and say, maybe it's you?
Yes.
Oh.
yes for a second, but like I actually my boyfriend, he just told me, like, we were having about like ex conversation yesterday night when we were FaceTime, and he was talking about like his ex-girlfriend. He was like, oh, she's crazy. I think it really depends on the situation, because I think his ex-girlfriend is crazy, but I mean, not everyone's ex-girlfriend is like, you know, crazy as they told others. So I think it really depends on the situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of always think I'm crazy, like, all the time. I don't really think a guy needs to say anything to, like, make me think I'm crazy myself.
Yeah, also, it's like, I feel like a lot of times when a guy is like, oh, my ex is, like, crazy bitch, whatever, like, probably because you drove her to be that crazy. Because it's like, none of my ex, like, all my exes like me, and, like, I know I'm not crazy, so that means you're crazy.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that
like,
part.
It's like you made them all crazy because you, like, fucking,
yeah,
like, not fuck the shit out of them, but, like, like, manipulated them.
Yeah, I gotta agree with her on that one. Usually it's like, every time they say, it's like, oh, my ex was so crazy. It's like, oh, really? Because every single girl that you said that you gotten with was super crazy. So that's a really interesting, like, pattern. I'm pretty sure you drove them to be like that. Because then you, like, talk to the ex-girl and you're like, well, like, he said that you're crazy, like, blah, blah, blah. No, like, they made them crazy. It's usually the guy that, like, makes them crazy.
And also, why do they keep dating crazy girls, too?
Yeah.
Like, that's on you, dude. Do better.
So, let me ask a follow-up question. Do any of you know any crazy chicks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't.
You know no crazy chicks?
What do you think is crazy?
Like,
what's considered crazy?
Yeah, like, what would you say is, like, the guidelines for a crazy, like, girl, if that makes sense?
Blair, you come in.
I have a good example of this.
Okay.
I have a friend of mine. She is constantly wrestling with, I really like this guy, but I don't want to date him. And she just goes back and forth all day long about this. That shows me she's a little cuckoo.
That's crazy to you?
A little bit.
Usually, like, crazy to me is, like, when she's, like, slashing her tires, breaking her windshield.
Well, that's the extreme end of the spectrum, but that's true too.
Okay, because, like, usually...
I'm talking, like, ordinary behaviors that people might think are crazy.
Okay.
I feel like that's not crazy, though. That's indecisive. Or, like,
Wait,
you have, like,
slashing
trust
tires
issues.
is
Well, no, not slashing tires. But, like, going back and forth over a guy. I feel like that's pretty
I'd say
normal.
slashing tires is indecisive.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think my sense of crazy, I mean, there's some very obvious ones, like if they're super vindictive, super jealous. The big one is vindictive. So if they either try to destroy your reputation in some way, they talk shit about you, try to poison your social circle. Obviously, there's the very obvious stuff would be like if they're physically violent,
100%.
or if they like slash your tires or they do some sort of property damage. That's definitely crazy. I mean, then there's just also stuff related to mental illness, like if they have borderline personality disorder. Not everyone that has BPD is going to, it's not necessarily going to manifest itself in crazy behavior, so to speak, but there's also, it could be bipolar 2 if they're, manic, or I don't know, whatever it is. So I will say I've had one crazy girlfriend. The rest of my girlfriends totally normal. Rave reviews, and to be fair, like on a scale of 1 to 10 of craziness, she's like a 5 on the crazy scale. And to be like, and I can give you reasons. I don't want to like, I'm not the type of guy to really, well, I kind of did, but I was about to say, I'm not the type of guy to like talk poorly about an ex. I think that's actually another red flag, is someone that talks poorly about their ex.
I have to agree with that part.
Yeah,
like
especially to a new partner. To me, that's always like, I don't know. Maybe especially early on in the relationship, maybe like if you've been together for a while and your partner's curious, but
Yeah.
I think talking poorly about exes is not a good thing. So
Yeah. Like I'd say like in the first like couple weeks, if they're like really dogging on their ex or like an ex girl that they had like a thing with, then like that's where it starts to get like, ooh, like okay. And then when there's more than one, especially, that's when it really starts to get like a really big red flag. So it's like if they keep saying that all of their exes are crazy, then that's kind of a bit of a red flag for me.
sure.
Because I think that's just like all of your exes are crazy.
Then it's your problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah, it's
You
like different
drove
reasons
them.
why multiple.
Yeah. Like you drove them to be crazy. Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, no. You drove them to be like that, babes. Like,
I'll give you one example. So the
Okay.
very first day I met her, first time hanging out, she went through my phone.
oh,
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Nope.
That's
She, like
Nope.
first time hanging out,
no, that's crazy.
went through my phone and got mad at what she obviously discovered. I mean, it was our first time hanging out, so there was
Yeah.
no guarantee of, there's no loyalty there, but
And
yeah,
I'm
she-
guessing you guys didn't hang out for long.
I
like-
dated her for 5 years, but that's another
Well, and that's also
story.
that's a really bad
Yeah, that's
first.
kind of on you.
That's a
dude.
bad first
Oh,
impression.
okay. So you had a relationship with this woman for 5 years. On the
Uh-huh.
first day,
Yeah, she
went
looked through
your
my phone. She got mad at what she saw, stormed out and left, and then that's when I knew she was the one. No, I'm kidding.
What
I'm
did-
kidding. It was clearly a red flag, but here's the thing. So here's what she did is I was like, well, I'm never going to see you again. Goodbye. Like, lose my number, blocked her, whatever. I was very young. I want to say I was very young and naive. This was like my first ever like proper relationship. So,
okay.
so
What made you go back?
I
Well,
agree.
here's the
Because
thing.
that would have turned me off right away.
it did, but she was like, she was 2 or 3 days later. She's like, she gave me the most sincere apology. Like it was super believable. Major, like, I'll never do it again. I'm really sorry. I'm just a little crazy,
If she willingly admits that she's crazy, get out.
Well, right.
Get
Yeah.
out.
No,
Run.
coming from
Not
like
happening.
if a girl's gonna like fully admit that she's crazy, like
She's come to terms with it already.
yeah, she's
You know what I
come
mean?
to terms with it. Like honestly, it's fun, but like if you're not in for that, then don't go for it.
I'm not proud of it.
He was obviously into it for 5 years.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Did some of those behaviors come back up during that 5-year relationship?
Okay, so I'll go into it. Now, obviously, it was
You can keep it brief if you
it
want.
was a mistake of me for not being steadfast in the numerous times I broke up with her. But basically, I'd break up with her. It was on again, off again. I don't know if any of you guys have had that sort of on again, off again relationship, but I'd break up with her. I think she broke up with me one time. Like 90% of the other times I'd break up with her, and I'm pretty sure she had borderline personality disorder, but that's another conversation.
That's for another time.
That's another time.
Can I make an assumption?
So, are you going to say the sex was really good?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say. Like if that pussy's
Sometimes.
good, man, that'll get your wires crossed big time.
And I was young and naive and didn't have a lot of relationship experience. So, but yeah, no, she repeated the same mistakes multiple times. But every time she'd come back, like heartfelt, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. Here's how I'll do better. And I believed it. And young and naive Brian, guys. Anyways,
Yeah,
but
okay.
yes, I should have been steadfast in not getting back with her. But
That's okay.
sometimes it's tough, it's tough.
Yeah.
Anyways.